Rachel screwed us over again.
I'm very, very...
What the F is this bull?
I'm very, very upset about that.
Cody, weren't you going to bring donuts too if Rachel showed up?
Yeah, but I knew she was going to show up, so I was going to bring it. So now
She even texted me she was going to show up. Vince, what the hell is this crap? Deepak, I know you're pissed.
We're now short one female staff now.
Yeah, we don't have a female.
I don't know what we can do. And alcohol
Wait,
sports.
hold on.
Hey, what about me?
Who are you?
I'm Kristen.
I guess she'll do.
You know sports?
You know anything about sports?
I do.
Who played in the World Series last year?
The Kansas City Royals and the New York Mets.
Ooh. She knows more than you.
Well, that's a given.
I guess she can be on the show.
Yeah, why not? Ready? So I guess we can do this then. Yeah. Ready? Count us down.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. This is Sports Zone.
Hello and welcome back to another edition of Sports Zone. We're going to kick it off as we always do with Studio 90. I'm joined by Jessica and Ryan, and we're going to talk probably the most marquee matchup in world soccer, that is Barcelona-Real Madrid. It's El Clasico. Barcelona came into this match on a 39-game unbeaten streak to face a kind of Real Madrid who was struggling a little bit and looking for something to reinvigorate themselves in the league standings. And Jessica, they did just that. Real Madrid came up with a big performance. What can we say about that?
So I think that Real Madrid actually played a somewhat good game. I mean, the first half they weren't doing as well. Barcelona had a lot more chances to score, and they did. Second half, Real Madrid kind of came back and evened it out, and there was they had more possession than they did the first half. But I think overall in the game, Barcelona did have more possession, and yes, Real Madrid won. But I think that there's still a lot for them to prove if they want to win La Liga, and I think it might be still really hard for them to.
Definitely. It was a character-building win when they went down to 10 men, then Cristiano Ronaldo scores the game-winning goal. But as you said, they do kind of have a mountain to climb. Barcelona still, after that defeat, has a 7-point lead over them and a 6-point lead over Atletico Madrid. So, Ryan, with the defeat, do you see that just being one chink in the armor for Barcelona and them going on uncontested, really, for the title?
I'd have to agree that they're going to be uncontested for the rest of the title. El Clasico is always a matchup that's been proven to go either way, regardless of whether the teams are underperforming, overperforming, or anywhere in between. But I definitely think Barcelona has been playing unbelievable soccer this entire year, a 38, 39-game unbeaten streak. You know, one slip-up against Real Madrid, they'll be right back at it again. And I think they're going to probably steamroll through the rest of the La Liga season and eventually win the title.
Definitely, yeah. And it was important for Real Madrid because they really got steamrolled and embarrassed 4-0 in the first leg, or the first matchup of El Clasico on their home ground. This was the first time Real Madrid had won at the Camp Nou in several years, so it was big for them in that regard. But keeping it with Barcelona, they have another huge matchup this week against Atletico Madrid in the Champions League. So, Jessica, do you see any carryover from their defeat against Atletico Madrid, or do you think we'll see a refocused and a really dangerous Barcelona side on Wednesday?
I think they'll definitely be a lot more refocused against Atletico, and I think that even though they didn't win this Clásico, I think that they still played pretty well, and I think that'll show in the next game as well. That even though they lost, it doesn't really change the fact that they're top in La Liga.
Definitely, and another huge or important Champions League match this week would be PSG playing against Man City. Man City had the return of Kevin De Bruyne, who was their $70 million man in the summer, and they thrashed Bournemouth 4-0 on the weekend. So, Ryan, do you think the momentum and the gaining of one of their key contributors in the early part of the season will help them contest against the PSG side, who you said earlier you think would beat them without Kevin De Bruyne?
I think so. I think, still without Joe Hart and Vincent Kompany, I think they're still in some serious trouble. Kompany's been their anchor for their back line, and Joe Hart's been one of the steadiest goaltenders in the Premier League for the last number of years. I still think PSG's got too much of a high-powered offense to really kind of mess with the kind of weak and embattled back line of Man City and eventually their goalkeeper.
Definitely, and just another thing to note in Champions League, Bayern Munich is potentially looking even more dangerous because Frank Ribery has returned from injury and marked his return the weekend with a pretty spectacular goal. So then they kind of look poised to beat Benfica and roll into the semifinals. So that's the Champions League. But kind of shifting gears and talking about not really a soccer matter, but something related to someone in the U.S. who was highly revered and is kind of been the icon for U.S. soccer, and that's Abby Wambach. She was in the news yesterday. She was pulled over and arrested for a DUI. So Jessica, she just kind of came off the high of her career and retired as a World Cup champion and the all-time leading goal scorer. Do you see this tarnishing her image as someone that the U.S. girls can look up to?
Honestly, I don't really think so, because when I think of soccer, I think of the player and what they contribute to the game. I don't really think of what they do off the field. So much has a impact on like how much she's impacted women's U.S. soccer.
And Ryan, would you agree?
I think her impact on U.S. women's soccer is going to be far greater than a simple mistake. We're all human. Everybody makes mistakes. It's one DUI. I know it's still something that we cannot condone as a society, but I still think she's done so much for the game, been a great ambassador for the game, that I really don't think this will be too much of a determining factor.
Definitely. I think the big thing to take out of this is no one was hurt. She's taken responsibility and owned up to that, which is what you like to see, and hopefully that she can move on and be the better person as a result of that. She's been catching some backlash from the U.S. men's national team players like Alejandro Bedoya and Josie Altidore, but on the large, I think the result and the response from the public has been very positive, so that should be good for Abby Wambach. But unfortunately, that is all the time we have for this edition of Studio 90, but stick around for more hard-hitting analysis on SportsZone.
Hello, welcome back to Sports Zone. This is Ice Time. I'm joined alongside with Michael. Rachel, still not here. We don't know where she is. Sorry to any viewers out there who sincerely miss Rachel. At this point, we're getting to the point where we don't. We've moved on. Michael is here now with us. So, Michael, as it's kind of approaching as playoff season, this is the last week of the regular season. Playoffs start April 13th. Lots of interesting kind of situations that could emerge. You obviously have the Washington Capitals, who are the surefire number one President's Trophy winning team already. They're going to be the first seed in the East, and they're going to play the first wild card. But you have a lot of interesting fluctuation from 2 through wild card number 2 in the Metropolitan Division. You have the Pittsburgh Penguins, the New York Rangers, the New York Islanders, and the Philadelphia Flyers, all within striking distance of that second spot. So, Michael, I got to ask you, where are those 4 teams going to fall if one does not get eliminated for the playoffs?
If one does not get eliminated from the playoffs, then I think it's actually going to go kind of chalk. I don't see the Rangers. I mean, they can clinch with a win tonight. I don't see them falling behind the Islanders or the Flyers. And I actually, now that I say that, I think the Flyers will actually take that number 1 wild card spot from the Islanders. I just think the Islanders are way too injured. I don't see them sort of, really doing really well the rest of the season without Yaroslav Halak and without Travis Hamonik, however you pronounce his name. I don't see them doing a lot with such a limited lineup, and I think the Flyers have got a little bit of a fire lit underneath them. They've really been coming on strong the past few weeks.
Yeah, the Rangers are only 2 points ahead of the New York Islanders, but the Islanders have 1 game in hand. The New York Rangers are also 3 points behind the Pittsburgh Penguins, with the Rangers having 3 games left to play. But as you said, they could clinch with a win tonight in any kind, regulation, overtime, or shootout. Pretty simple. We need 2 points. Elaine Vigneault, please make this work. I will be very upset if you don't.
He's played like 3 of the worst teams in the conference.
And they've lost.
And
they've lost.
Yeah.
Who would have known that we would have lost to Buffalo 4-3?
Yeah.
But that's neither here nor there. Going to the Atlantic Division, the Tampa Bay Lightning could also clinch a playoff spot tonight with 1 point. But they have a whole nother interesting injury development as Steven Stamkos just underwent surgery for his blood clot. Michael, do you see the defending Eastern Conference champions going anywhere without their captain?
It's going to be really tough because he's not the only one who's going to be out for the playoffs. You have Anton Strawman, broke an elbow or something. He's broken some sort of limb. And then you also have Jonathan Drouin, their supposed savior who also wants to be traded, who's also probably going to be injured for the rest of the regular season and the playoffs. So I think it's going to be tough for them to make a serious run. I think a lot of that depends on how much you buy into the Florida Panthers hype. I personally like their makeup. I like that they're a combination of wily veterans, young guns, and Roberto Luongo. So it's going to be very tough for them to sort of, win the Eastern Conference again. I think they can, make it to the final. I think that's definitely in the cards for them because that is such a weird division, the Atlantic. But I think it's going to be really tough for them to repeat as Eastern Conference champs.
It'll certainly be interesting to see how Florida actually does come out, and if Tampa Bay does make it out of that Atlantic Division situation at the moment, because it's still very much up in the air with that. They would probably have to play either the Washington Capitals, New York Rangers, or the Pittsburgh Penguins, which, quite frankly, I don't see them getting through any three at this point in the game. But that's why they play the games. Anything can happen in a 7-game series. Somebody can get hurt. As Matt Zuccarello getting a puck to the face, substantially hurting the Rangers. And you never know with the triplets. They seem to find a way to come out in big moments in the playoffs. But swinging to the Western Conference now, you have the Dallas Stars, St. Louis Blues, Washington Capitals, Nashville Predators, and Minnesota Wild, seemingly all grabbing playoff spots, once again kind of proving that the Central Division is playing very good hockey this year. Chicago, though, is kind of sitting in the third spot. Right now, they'd have to go on the road to St. Louis. Michael, do you think that they're going to have the same luck they've had against St. Louis in the past 3 years when they've met in the playoffs?
I mean, it's a little tough to say no because not a lot has changed with them and not a lot has changed with the Blues. And, the Blues got rid of TJ Oshie, so it's a little hard to say no. And just the streak that Patrick Kane's been on, hitting 100 points for, he's the third player to do in the past 5 years, something like that. It's hard for me to ever bet against the Blackhawks in the first round, especially against the Blues. They get up for those games against St. Louis. They know the Blues always think it's going to be their year, but the Blackhawks always know it's going to be their year instead.
Yeah, it'll be certainly very interesting to see how that plays out. However, this time around, the Blues might have Game 7 in St. Louis this year, but that's why they play hockey, and the Blackhawks, with tremendous playoff experience, have proven to be a dominant team once it hits April. But Dallas will also probably be facing off against Nashville, or they'll be facing off against the Minnesota Wild, which Minnesota always finds a way to linger around in playoff series. Do you think that could be detrimental to Dallas?
Oh, absolutely. I think so, especially because Dallas is going to be missing Tyler Seguin, which is going to hurt them. And, the Wild are a very tenacious team, and they've really come on the last few weeks and months of the season. They beat the Avalanche last year and they beat the Blues last year in the first round, and I don't see why they can't do it again. I just think they're a very good team, and I think the Stars missing Sagan, I don't know how long he's going to miss, but if they're missing him, I think it'll be a huge issue for them.
Certainly Dallas, known for their offensive power, not really what you'd consider a defensive juggernaut, but anything can happen in the playoffs. I really think that Dallas's high-powered offense still could be very helpful. They still do have guys like Jason Spezza and Jamie Benn that could make it very interesting. Swinging to the Pacific Division, you have the Los Angeles Kings, San Jose Sharks, and Anaheim Ducks, all sitting between 1, 2, and 3, with the Kings locking up the division. So between San Jose and Anaheim, both teams that are very offensive heavy, to say the least, where goaltending is a lot more of a question. You have Martin Jones and Frederick Anderson, John Gibson, their combination there. Who comes out of that series to eventually probably play the Los Angeles Kings?
Man, I don't know. It's tough to say, and I hate to always look back at these past years as a thing, but the Sharks choke. Yeah. And that's just kind of been their makeup, but they're also playing with a little bit of a chip on their shoulder this year. But the Ducks are also sort of bigger and meaner than they ever have been before. I think what hurts the Ducks a little bit is that Frederick Anderson may not be able to play that series. And he's not necessarily their locked-in starter. He and Gibson kind of share the load a lot. I think that will hurt them, though, and I could see the Sharks, stealing a few games on the road and running away with that series.
I agree. I definitely think that Anaheim could make a very big play, but again, they're going to have to run into the Los Angeles Kings and any team that comes out of the Central Division. And the Ducks are known for choking late in the playoff, so it'll be very interesting to see how that works out. And next week when we talk to you on SportsZone, we will be able to have our playoff matchups, and we'll be able to break them down more in depth. But that's all the time we have for this week on Ice Time. For Michael, I'm Ryan. More SportsZone coming to you after this.
Hello and welcome back to SportsZone. This is our NBA segment. Throwing it up, I'm joined by Jake and Michael, and we're going to start with not action that happened on the court, but the biggest story that's coming off the court recently with the goings-on between Nick Young and D'Angelo Russell with the Los Angeles Lakers. So Jake, what exactly happened in that situation?
Well, D'Angelo Russell essentially had a conversation he recorded with Nick Young where he talked about cheating on his significant other, Iggy Azalea, and it got leaked, most likely due to D'Angelo Russell, onto the internet, and now they are not super happy with each other, regardless of what you might hear them say. There's no way they're happy with each other. No way I could be happy. Really, D'Angelo, you can't do that. You can't do that to your teammate. You can't. Who would want to play with somebody who did that to them? Somebody who basically just ended their relationship. You can't. No, nothing. You can't do that. Not good. Not good for that franchise's future. Not good.
And Michael, would you say going forward, this would be a deterrent from people wanting to come to the Lakers because the locker room is pretty much toxic now?
I mean, yeah, pretty much. There's a team that's really been in disarray for the past few years. I mean, the sort of sheen of the LA Lakers name, logo, and all that, and Kobe Bryant being on the team has kind of, made them seem more attractive than they actually are. And there are always people talking about, oh, Kevin Love really wants to play in LA, Russell Westbrook wants to play in LA, that all these players, when they become free agents, will want to play in LA. I don't really see how you can make that argument anymore. I don't think that there's really anything to bring them there. I mean, you think that D'Angelo Russell and Julian Randle will be very attractive teammates, but it doesn't look like that'll be the way with D'Angelo Russell anymore, and it looks like D'Angelo Russell may not even be on that team for much longer. So yeah, I think it's definitely going to set the Lakers back a little bit. A very weird way for a franchise to be set back, but I think it's going to happen.
Definitely. Kind of shifting gears from the sort of basement of the league to someone who's at the very top, and that is the history-chasing Warriors. They had a little blemish, a little stumble. They had their 54, I believe, game home winning streak snapped this past weekend, which has kind of set them back. They, I believe, now have 8 losses, which means in the last 5 games they need to make up some ground if they want to make history. But Jake, what does this mean for the Warriors losing at home like that? Does it really have any significance?
Well, I'm pretty happy about it. I'm very happy about it. I love the Celtics winning big games. But, I mean, really, what do they need to win? 4 or 3 of those games to make it? To get the record? I mean, otherwise, it doesn't really make much of a difference to that team. I mean, mentally it always hits a team hard to lose in overtime. To a weaker team, to a team that clearly hasn't shown the consistency that they have. Yes, I'd say that, yes, this might impact them mentally, but this is a team that we've seen win games in every sort of way. So I don't think this is going to mentally destroy them. I mean, honestly, getting or not getting the record isn't going to affect their title chances at all. It's not going to affect their mentality at all. I mean, you saw the Carolina Panthers. They went 16-0, and then the Super Bowl, they still lost. And let's say going 16-0 didn't really change their mentality entirely. Actually, no, they went 15-1. What am I talking about? Sorry about that. Actually, I would say going 16-0 would have affected them even more. But anyway, no, I really don't see this having any long-term consequences for the Warriors and their mentality.
Definitely. And I think they played the Spurs, I believe, 2 times in their last 5 games. So that should just be fun, because I think the Spurs are really resting their guys, where the Warriors have really been gunning for it. Michael, do you think that there's a merit to one of their strategies more than the other?
I don't know. I mean, Greg Popovich is kind of famous for resting his star players, and he's had great success with it. But I think if you're the Warriors, I think there is a merit to sort of keeping your guys hot, keeping them, you'd rather them not rust as opposed to rest. I think there's a lot to like there, and I also think, I think they want that record. I think they want to be remembered as the team that took down a record hold by a team that had Michael Jordan on it. I think there's a lot of appeal to that. I think they love being the face of the league. And I just think they just want to be the best of all time, and I think that's what they're going for. And I think if they get that record, they're going to feel invincible, and I think it's going to help them a lot going into the playoffs.
On the note of greatest of all time or being commemorated in history, basketball announced its class of 2016 today. Jake, is there one player in that who you think is the most noteworthy?
Well, I think Yao Ming entering the Hall of Fame is very noteworthy. I mean, how many Asian players can you think of when you think of Asian players in basketball? Plus, what he did for the international appeal of that market. I mean, you read about basketball in China. They love basketball. They love the NBA in China, going all the way back to the 80s. I mean, obviously, that's a very significant thing for somebody of his ethnicity to join the Hall of Fame. Somebody of the caliber of his player also in the Hall of Fame. So that's probably the one that jumps out the most in his class. I mean, of course, also Allen Iverson, but a lot of the players. But I know he's one of those players who saw, obviously, he was going to make it in the Hall of Fame eventually, and obviously at this time, probably. So I would say it's probably the most significant and most interesting.
Mike, would you have a different take?
Well, I mean, I think those are all great. I think you have really 3 icons who are inducted. You had Yao Ming, Allen Iverson, then, of course, Shaquille O'Neal. I think Shaquille O'Neal, his influences kind of transcends basketball in a lot of ways. I mean, He he had a movie called Kazam where he played a genie. He has like his own soft drink. He's become sort of this like industry on himself, and I think that became the model for a lot of aspiring players in the NBA. Kind of started by Michael Jordan, but Shaq kind of became a personality. Jordan was a brand. Shaq became a personality. He became a character. And I think that really stands out to me. Of course, there's Tom Izzo, coach of Michigan State, very well-respected guy. Glad he's getting recognized.
Definitely. I think this is a pretty big class overall. But in general, I think that going forward, this is really noteworthy class. Yao Ming, as you said, being iconic, Shaq kind of being a transcending personality, and Allen Iverson being Allen Iverson, for lack of a better descriptor. But that is all the time we have now for throwing it up. Keep in tune for more Sports Zone after this.
Hello and welcome back to Sports Zone. This is our premier baseball segment, Getting to Third Base. Baseball is back. I've been saying it forever. It is official now. I'm joined on this panel by Mike, a Mets fan, by Vince, a Pirates fan, we think. He's a Virginia fan too. And by newcomer, Kristen. Kristen, who's also a Mets fan. This is our first time on here. So, guys, opening day for Major League Baseball was technically yesterday. 3 games kicked off. First off, starting with the Pittsburgh Pirates hosting the St. Louis Cardinals. After that, we had the Tampa Bay Rays hosting the Blue Jays. And then the big game was at night at Kauffman Stadium between the New York Mets and the Kansas City Royals in a World Series rematch. First, let's start off with the games that we had earlier on in the day. Mike, obviously, it's a lot of fanfare going on with baseball when it first starts. Whether it's the singing the national anthem, guys paratrooping in, the whole shebang. Going ahead and looking at this game that happened at PNC Park, what did you kind of see from the two teams that led a lot of time last year in the NL Central, 2 of the 90-plus win teams?
I think we saw a little bit of a rebalance of power. I think that what we got yesterday was actually going to be a little bit of a microcosm of the season. I think the Cardinals are getting a little older. I think they're going to slow down a little bit. And I think the Pirates are, smell a little blood in the water. And I think the Pirates are going to make a serious run at the division crown. I think it's going to be them and the Cubs. I don't really see the Cardinals. They're going to have their moments. They're going to have their runs. But I think the Pirates and the Cubs are going to emerge as the top 2 teams in the Central. I think the Cardinals are going to sort of fall into that 3 spot. I don't even know if they're going to make the playoffs, to be totally honest.
Yeah, I mean, the Cardinals now are starting to actually become a question in that loaded NL Central when you're talking about, the Pirates and the Cubs that are most likely going to go at least, very far. A lot of people do see the Cubs as potential World Series champions this year, but they've been saying that for the past 100-plus years. Anyway, the Cards, young on pitching side, older on the lineup side. Vince, the next thing that happened, obviously we had the Tampa Bay Rays hosting the Toronto Blue Jays. Obviously, Toronto is a powerhouse. And they were led by a young starter, Marcus Stroman, while the Rays threw out Chris Archer there. So coming into Tropicana Field, you have a team that I think it's safe. A lot of teams do not want to face. A lot of pitchers don't want to face. What did you see from a guy like Chris Archer, though?
Well, I think he's been working on his stock to try and get out of Tampa Bay, because I think you kind of see two teams who are trending in the complete opposite directions. Tampa Bay, just a couple of years ago, was contending for division titles. They were in the playoffs. They made it to the World Series now 8 years ago. That seems very, very far away now. But now, and then the Blue Jays, you see kind of trending up. They made the playoffs last year, made it to the ALCS. So you kind of just see two teams trending in the opposite direction. And Chris Archer maybe looking to get out. He had a phenomenal year last year. And if he can put up good numbers this year, maybe teams will be looking at him potentially at the trade deadline or maybe even at the end of the season.
Yeah, the Rays, they're kind of in that limbo area that I think the Phils were into a few years ago, where not sure if they need to rebuild or start, really bringing in those pieces that can help them out. Archer led the league last year in strikeouts, and in opening day had 12 strikeouts. Only 3 times has that been done since 1900, with the pitcher then getting a loss. But the biggest game obviously happened last night at Kauffman Stadium. It was a World Series rematch. Totally coincidental, because never before has that happened, and apparently this game was scheduled back last June before either team made it to the World Series. But Kristen, you had the Kansas City Royals take on the Mets. Obviously, much more fanfare there, raising the trophy, raising the banner. Both teams actually had a hint of gold in their uniforms. What did you see from both sides coming into the game?
So coming into this game, I saw the Mets with something to prove against the defending World Series champions. But I also saw a little bit of opening day jitters from the Mets, especially on the part of Yoenis Cespedes making a critical error in the first inning that cost Matt Harvey his first run. But the Mets surprisingly did not let that set the tone for the rest of the game, the way that they were able to battle back against the Royals pitching, made primetime what it should be and made it a good show for all the fans watching.
Yeah, we saw a lot of what we saw in the World Series with the Royals playing a lot of small ball. I mean, there were no big shots, and then one costly error did cost the first run. But Matt Harvey pitched phenomenally. Essen Vocas pitched, amazing. I mean, his only mishap was coming in the first inning with the wrong hat on. But then you saw two strong bullpens and two teams that really went at it and put in all the effort. And so before we wrap up, I just want to come in both a recap of yesterday and what we can look forward to in this first week as we have 12 games on the slate for today. What do you expect? Firstly,
I'm expecting a great first week of baseball coming up this week, particularly for the Mets. They're playing the Phillies later in the week, and I think that that's going to be a great series opening them for home. I see this season playing out really well. I think the Mets and the Royals opening out are two very strong teams, as they proved last night. And I think by the end of the season, we could see those two in the World Series rematch again.
Vince?
I think it's looking at the teams out west who made big pitching moves to see how those are going to shake out. With the Giants, their pitching staff really didn't perform well in spring training, but they brought in Jeff Samardzija, they have Bumgarner, maybe seeing how that goes. And then the Diamondbacks made the big move for getting Greinke. So I think it'll be interesting to see how those moves play out for them, how they perform in their first starts of the season, maybe setting a tone for the rest of the season.
Right.
I think I'm really interested to see what the two Sox teams do. Are the Red Sox actually for real now? Or are Pablo Sandoval and Hanley Ramirez just kind of going to sag them down? And the White Sox, are they all there? Did the Adam Rose situation sort of fracture the clubhouse? And are they, going to contend like they want to?
And I'm going to look at two divisions in the AL, the Central and the West. Both teams. In the West, do we see the young Astros really holding that grasp, maybe coming ahead and winning the division, unlike the Rangers did last year? Or in the AL Central, you have young teams like the Indians and then the Royals. Will they maintain a good hold, or will the Tigers come on a bounce back? But anyway, that is all the time that we have for Getting to Third Base. So for Kristen, Vince, and Mike, I'm Deepak. Stay tuned for more Sports Zone coming at you next.
Hello, welcome back to Sports Zone. This is everybody's favorite segment, Thumbles. Thumbs up, thumbs down, where we talk about the good, the bad, and sometimes ugly in the world of sports and the world at large. So we're going to start off thumbs up to baseball. It's opening day. It's a big time of the year. It kind of lets everybody know that spring and summer have arrived. It's time to head out to the ballpark. Looking forward to possibly catching a Nationals game before I go home, and hopefully the Yankees can build on their beyond abysmal wild card performance last year against the Houston Astros. Thumbs down to Abby Wambach for her DUI. I really think, it's not going to damage her reputation completely. She's done a lot for women's soccer, but I really do think it is a chink in the armor, and an unnecessary chink at that. Thumbs up, however, to the women's soccer team for actually finally making a big case out of their wage discrimination issue. It's about time they pull in more money than the men's team does, especially when the men go out and lose to teams like Guatemala and the women go out and beat teams like Germany. So honestly, it's about time, I guess, for that. Thumbs down to the New York Rangers for playing absolute garbage hockey, in my professional opinion. Losing to the Buffalo Sabres 4-3. You shouldn't be giving up 4 goals to the Buffalo Sabres. They're not that good. They will be good at some point, hopefully, but they're not that good this year, and the Rangers are a 10 times better hockey team. So that really upsets me. Thumbs down to the New York Jets for not really signing anybody or the NFL as a whole for not really making big splashes in the free agent market. Thumbs down to the Boston Celtics, just because Jake likes them and I don't like Boston. Sorry, Rachel and Jake. Second-rate city. Thumbs up to the NCAA Final Four tonight with Villanova and North Carolina, I really do hope Villanova wins, and I'm praying, I'm not optimistic, however, that Nova Nation takes the title. However, I think the Heels are locked in, and I think the North Carolina Tar Heels will win tonight. I think Roy Williams will capture another title. I think they're just too good of a team. Thumbs up to this week being the Frozen Four for college hockey. It's that time of year. It's in Tampa Bay. You have Quinnipiac playing Boston College, and you have... Who do you have? Either way, be a great matchup. You have North Dakota playing Minnesota Duluth, I believe. Sorry, I just blanked on that matchup. North Dakota playing Denver. Thank you. I'm sorry for that. Thumbs up to college lacrosse and the Ivy Leagues for having two teams in the top three, Yale and Brown. I know Princeton is absolutely killing me right now. It really kills that my hometown team is playing like absolute garbage this year, but every team needs a rebuilding year, especially with losing the Fracaro brothers. Thumbs up to Denver, though, and Bill Tierney for doing extremely well, even though they're the number 4 team in the Insider Lacrosse rankings now. And thumbs up to Cody for being here. Thumbs down to Rachel for not. She lied straight to my face. And to my cell phone via text message. Not happy about that. Thumbs up to Vince because we do finally know where his identity crisis stands. He is a Virginian through and through with parents coming from Pittsburgh. We have identified the identity crisis, and we are happy that that's solved. Go Pirates. Thumbs down to the Philadelphia Phillies because they're awful. And that's really all my thumbs. Now we're gonna swing it to Jake.
So, thumbs down to Brian for knocking the banner over when he was probably preparing a joke about me knocking over the banner to say. Thumbs down to Brian for putting his shade at me in the middle of his thumbs segment, as I was going to forget about by the time I came on here. Thumbs up to the city of Boston for being much more beautiful and historic than Jersey. Thumbs up to the Boston Celtics for defeating the Golden State Warriors. I will continue to rant about this all week, and I am now jumping on a very, very, very indisputable hype train that they will conquer the East, which I understand may or may not happen. Thumbs up to the Oakland Raiders for having the faith in Alden Smith. Clearly they know something about him and have the trust in him from seeing him develop over the last year to a 2-year contract that will let him form a long-term linebacking core with Khalil Mack and Bruce Irvin that could become one of the best linebacking cores in the NFL in a year or two. Thumbs up to Tom Brady for calling his receivers with a conch shell. I thought that was pretty funny. I enjoyed that quite a bit. And thumbs up to my bracket for being locked in to come in second place. Thumbs down to Dan's bracket for being the bracket that prevents my bracket from having the potential to be the bracket that comes in first place. Thumbs up to the word bracket. It really rolls off the tongue. And that is all from me.
All right, thumbs down to everybody hitting the banner today and for just taking shots at the great state of New Jersey, which I should note that I'm also from. Thumbs up to baseball starting. Very, very happy to see that happen. Thumbs down for it happening in the most excruciating manner possible for me, a Mets fan. The Kansas City Royals are an absolutely infuriating team to play. I hate how they just get these seeing-eye singles and they nickel and dime you for runs. I hate that their pitchers throw like 100 pitches by the 5th inning, and then they just kind of like don't give up walks or hits. And I hate how people on ESPN act like the Kansas City Royals invented the art of hitting singles and having a bullpen. It's really kind of infuriating. I'm not denying they're a great team. They're just like really, 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 really annoying. Thumbs up for the NCAA final being today. I hope we're in for a good game. I feel like there have been a lot of blowouts recently, but I think Villanova, UNC, I'm happy to see UNC in the mix. It's good to get a good name there, but I do think, I meant Villanova. Good to get a new name there. I do think UNC, though, will come away with it. It just feels inevitable at this point. It feels like whenever Duke is playing kind of an upstart. And yeah, thumbs down for the Rangers for kind of like choking away home ice in the sort of Penguins, hopefully inevitable Penguins-Rangers series. That's never fun to see, but I think that they'll give the Pens a good run for their money. And other than that, I think I'm good.
Okie doke. Wow, where do I start from here? Thumbs up for me for only being the only one who did not hit that banner. It takes a lot of skill. Thumbs down. You know who you are. I'm not gonna say names. Rachel, for not being here. What the hell? It's just so devastating how you can make a false promise to us. Then you say I'm gonna be here, and we haven't written over text, so we'll hold that against you. But we always love you, though. Thumbs up, though, for this amazing crew. Come on. Thumbs down. Weather is bad. Oh, yeah. And thumbs up for Ryan. Ryan's got a special lady friend in his life. Yeah, so I'm going to go run out of the studio because Ryan's going to go kill me. So, yeah, those are my thumbs.
Thumbs up to baseball being back. Thumbs up to everything that Mike said about Kansas City. I also hate the Royals. Unfortunately, I have to give a thumbs down to Yoenis Cespedes for the error that he made early in the game. Thumbs up to Matt Harvey for being Matt Harvey and doing his thing even though they were down early in the game. And that's all I have. So I'll throw it over to Vince.
We're going to go thumbs up to my crisis management right there, avoiding hitting the banner, sliding in. Me and Deepak have been doing some nifty work behind the scenes, keeping the banner afloat. We're going to go thumbs up to Arsenal this weekend. Thrashed Watford 4-0. Alex Iwobi scored his second goal in his second Premier League start. The 19-year-old is just killing it right now, but seems a little too late. So I'm going to go thumbs down to Leicester City because they play obnoxiously horrible soccer. They have less than 30% possession. They have the lowest pass completion rate in the Premier League, yet they are leading because they just counterattack and they bomb up the field and just abuse Jamie Vardy's pace. It really pisses me off, and if they win the league, it will just devalidate the English Premier League for the next 10 years. It just can't happen, but it's going to happen, and I'm really frustrated about that. Thumbs up, baseball's opening day. Francisco Liriano did it all, proving that he will win the MVP and the Cy Young in the same year. He can hit, he can pitch, he can do it all. This is tongue-in-cheek, that probably won't happen, but I can overreact because baseball's a long season and we can just brush that over. Thumbs up, the NCAA finals are today. Thumbs down to the Final Four games because they both sucked. Hopefully the final is better than that. And we're going to go thumbs up to Ryan and his lady friend. Deepak and I spotted the lovely couple in TDR last week. We had a little speculation. We didn't know what the situation was. Confirmed it through Facebook. We were very excited. So thumbs up to me and Deepak's sleuthing ability. And that's all from me. Oh, and thumbs down to Jake. Had a well-planned tirade, but Brian is not in the studio right now. His name is Ryan. That is all for me.
Thumbs up, first and foremost, to 3 of us who have yet to hit the banner. No, 4 of us, sorry. Myself, Vince, Cody, and Kristen. Thumbs down to Brian for not being here. Thumbs down to other Brian for not being here. Thumbs down to Ryan for hitting the banner. Thumbs down to Jake for thinking that Ryan was Brian after my mishap last week. I apologize for that again. Thumbs up to the NCAA Finals tonight. Nova Nation takes on the Tar Heels. I've talked to all my friends who are UNC fans. I told them for the next week, I hate your guts because I need to. Thumbs up because I have faith that Nova actually might be able to do it. I say might because, look, honestly, I'm not going to be overly upset if it doesn't happen. This has been a great season. And Jay Wright and to all the seniors that we have, thank you. Thumbs up because obviously it is going to be my grad school. Thumbs up to baseball. Obviously it's back. Thumbs up to, just like how Vince just said, it's a long season. Thumbs up to the Phils for going 162-0. World Series championship bound. It's a long season. So guys, get ready for this because I'm going to keep going down and down and down and down. as it progresses. But I do think that because we're opening up against the Reds, we actually have a chance to maybe come out of this first series with a winning record. Thumbs up to something I just noticed. If you guys take a look up in that corner, there is a stocking hanging from that pole. That was put up there my freshman year by someone. I think it was Hannah, who used to be on the show. She put a stocking up for everyone in honor of the holiday season. So that brings back memories, considering this is my third to last episode ever. So, it's going to hurt. But finally, thumbs up to Cody for his selfies. Thumbs up to Ryan and his special lady friend because, yeah. So, for Vince, for Ryan, for Jake, for Cody, for Michael, for Kristen, for Maggie, for Jessica. Is that everyone? I think that was everyone today. It was a small crew, but we got the show done in a very quick time. I'm Deepak. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned. Have more Sports Zone coming at you next week.